Morning peeps, good morning everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget as well to like and share the vids. Apologies that we didn't do the lives. I'm sorry. The internet just isn't good enough. It's shit. It can do it, but it lags a lot. And no, that just isn't going to work for me. I thought it was the building. The internet provider was like, it's the building. It isn't the building because my neighbor is a gamer and he's got really good internet. So at least I know we can sort it. And we will sort it 100% when I get back from Vegas. So yeah, apologies. You know, I love doing the lives and we haven't done one for ages. I don't think we've done one. We tried one in this building and it lagged. Do you guys remember? I can't remember what it was. But yeah, so we need to get this done and we will get it done. Trust me. All right, let's talk about the big night of boxing. The copper box looked amazing. It was jumping, it was bouncing. And in the end, everyone went home. I'd say 95% of people went home upset, because Zhilei Zhang pulled off the upset. Before we talk about that fight, and there's loads to talk about on that fight, I want to quickly talk about a couple of other things on the fight card. I want to start with the young heavyweight Moses Atuma, 18 years old. And he's just turned 18 as well, by the way. I think he turned 18 in December. I don't know what you guys were doing when you were 18. Some of you might not be 18. But the idea of him having fights against men is just incredible. Obviously, look, he's a big boy, but what an achievement for him to be even where he is at 18. He done his post-fight interview and he said, we need to go back to the drawing board. And I'm like, oh, steady on. You've just gone the distance with a guy that's never been stopped. Like, that's the idea of guys like that, to give you rounds, because they have got heads and chins that are made of granite. There's no problem with that performance. I thought he showed variation. He obviously hurt his hand, I think, in the third or fourth round, so he couldn't really sit down on his power shots. But you're going to have guys that are difficult to stop. Maybe he wanted this 100% knockout record, but the most important thing is to get the W, and he won every single round. What BT Sports have got to stop doing, and it's more the commentary team, if I'm honest with you, and I like the commentators, but this him chasing Mike Tyson's record thing, stop it. Stop it, because some people are like, it's good for promotion, because I tweeted it, and I think a lot of people are like, it's good for promotion. I think it just adds extra pressure. It adds extra pressure, way too much pressure. Hence why he was so upset. Even though he got the W, he was so upset about his performance. It was a great performance. But the pressure of saying he's going to, be heavyweight world champion before 21 and beat, stop it. Remember, they did this with Huey Fury. They did exactly the same thing. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Can we just guide him and match him, and whenever he gets there, if he gets there, he gets there. Could be 24, could be 25, could be 21, who knows? But the Mike Tyson comparisons need to stop. But so that's one thing. Good win for Denzel Bentley. I thought Bentley's done so well since getting flatlined, and he did get flatlined by Felix Cash. The way in which he's taken that defeat and just moved on with his career is impressive. I like it. It shows that he's got a very strong mentality, very strong willpower. Obviously, he was coming off a defeat as well to Alam Kanali, and everyone was like, why is he taking that fight? And then he took Alam Kanali all the way, and I think he's taken a lot from that one. Although it was a defeat, I think he's taken a lot from it. And look, he just blew away his opponent yesterday. So it'll be interesting to see what they do next with Bentley. I suggest you go straight to world level again. There's no point, is he? I think Bentley must be about 30, 31, maybe older. So you just go straight to world level again, and let's see what he can do. I want to massively shout out Lucy Wildheart, who took the fight on 1 day's notice. Not even that. I heard it was a few hours notice against Michaela Meyer, and did herself proud. Yes, she lost every single round on the scorecards, on my scorecards as well, but they were competitive rounds. This is why the 10-9 system is it's an interesting one, is it? Because literally every round could be won by someone, but it doesn't tell the story of the fight. So if you look at that and you just look at the scorecards, like, oh, Michaela Meyer won that comfortably. She didn't. She didn't win that comfortably at all. It was some tough rounds in there for her. Very disappointed that Linodatu wasn't able to fight. I'm hearing there's something with regards to, I don't know, something with regards to her eye. I don't know what it is, a false contact lens, something anyway. But the British Boxing Board of Control, who removed her from this fight, she had exactly the same thing when she fought Katie Taylor, and they sanctioned that. So disappointing, because Linodatu, I think, would have given Michaela some really tough rounds. I think Michaela Meyer would have won, but I'm going by Linodatu that fought Baumgardner, Pursoon, Katie Taylor. That Linodatu, if that Linodatu still exists, that would have been a really good fight. But look, Michaela Meyer moves on, and we'll see what she can do, who she can fight in the 135 division. I think Michaela Meyer's feet are very slow, very technical, hence the good amateur background, but very, very slow. And it'd be nice to see her fight someone that really jumps on her and closes the distance. She can fight inside very well, but I just think her feet are slow. And they're going to get slower as she moves up in weight, because she's been talking about, I can go to 154 because she's got the frame. She's going to be really slow, I think, at 154. All right, let's talk about the big heavyweight showdown between two of the big boys of the division. Zhilei Zhang touching 20 stone. Joe Joyce, lighter. Could that have played a part in the defeat? Some people say he should have been a bit heavier. So he maybe would have, or at least would have tried to bully Zhang back. Difficult to bully a 20 stone man, I'll tell you that now. So I don't think the weight played too much of a problem. I just think that Zhilei Zhang is just a good fighter. Again, you look at the amateur pedigree and you can reel off all he's won. Olympic silver medals, World Championship bronze and silver medal, Asian Games gold medalist. I mean, this guy's had a few, I'm going to guess and say he's had about 200 amateur fights, because he's been fighting. He fought, when did he fought at the Beijing Olympics. I mean, so that's what, 2008. He fought AJ at the 2012 Olympics, and he still continued, I think, after that. So he's had a lot of amateur fights, a lot of amateur success as well. So look, clearly a good boxer. But in saying that, I think we all picked Joe Joyce to win, just because Joe Joyce, isn't he? He's the juggernaut. Came out to Terminator music. Like, okay, Joe Joyce is going to get the job done. He always starts slow. Yes, he gets caught a lot, but that's just his style. And we've kind of all dined out on that now. That getting caught and eating punches thing, people need to speak about it more. Like, we speak about the positive side of it sometimes. I've always spoken about the negative. Go and check my videos. I always have. But a lot of people speak about the positive of he can take a punch. It's not the aim of the sport. I don't want to keep taking punches. Like, well, the idea is to avoid those shots. But he continually takes big, heavy shots. Always has done and always will. You're not going to change that now at 37. But how that hasn't been fixed by a world-class trainer in Ismail Salas is beyond me. I don't get it. Like, he doesn't move his head at all. Doesn't move his head. And I almost feel like, look, Zhang's got power, but I feel like Zhang has been helped by all the fighters that Joyce has fought before, because they've almost softened him up a little bit. They honestly, because he's been cracked so many times by big shots, and sometimes you can just get old overnight and someone can touch you and that's it. And look, Zhang obviously clearly has power, but the way in which Joyce was wobbled back in the second round, just honestly, I had a drink next to me. I was like, nearly choked on my drink. Couldn't believe it. Never seen it before. But that can happen. That can happen when you've dined out on I can eat any punch, and you can't. I don't care who you are. You can't. I've seen the best granite chins get cracked. Golovkin, Derevyanchenko, Carl Froch, Jermaine Taylor. Like, what? It happens to everyone. So yeah, I'm so disappointed that they haven't worked on that. Like a little bit of head movement. I'm not asking you to fucking be Joe Fraser. I'm just asking for a little bit. This guy just literally just eats them and just keeps coming forward. And he met a guy, a southpaw, 20 stone, and a guy that can box and set those shots up. And it was almost like honestly, I'd love to know what southpaw sparring he's done. I'd love to know who he's had in his camp as southpaw sparring, because it was almost as though he couldn't read that left hand. Couldn't read it. And I'm like, have you had southpaw sparring? Or have you just dined out on the fact that you can take his shots? Because it was such a weird performance. Like, the first round was easily Zhang's round. And by the way, Zhang is so patient with his work. So patient. Like, doesn't seem to waste energy. And you can't when you weigh 20 stone, but doesn't seem to waste energy. Very patient with his shots. Sets him up. He threw a beautiful uppercut in round 3. So the punch variation is there as well. He's got that sneaky right hook. Mate, I'm not going to just go back on what I said. I thought Joyce would win. I thought Zhang would tire down the stretch as he did against Hrgovic, as he did against Jerry Forrest. And I thought maybe that's when Joyce, as we've seen in the past, starts to kind of go into that second and third gears and no one can really hang with him. And you do wonder what would happen, because I did think Zhang was getting tired. I thought maybe in the 5th round, I think I tweeted that, oh, Zhang looks like he's getting a bit tired here. But, I mean, he just kept on finding a home for that left hand. It was, for a guy that's had as much amateur experience as Joyce has had, not a lot, by the way, but he's had, obviously, we know there's a good amateur record. And for a guy that's, fought some good pros, and again, he has a world-class trainer, how he kept on failing to read that left hand, and it's not a fast left. Zhang isn't slow, but he's not fucking Usyk, is he, with that left hand? He's not. He's just not. So how you can't read that is, it's mind-boggling. Honestly, I'm watching it thinking, what's going on here? Read it. Like, whether or not you've got to take another step to your left, a double step, whatever you've got to do something. Avoid it. Just couldn't avoid it. Couldn't avoid it. I mean, look, he had some good moments in the fight, Joe Joyce, but it never looked like Zhang was worried by anything. And even his shots, I mean, they've obviously got power on them because he's a big guy naturally, but very tippy-tappy Joyce's shots. It's almost like the punch stats are going to be good, and for the judges, it's going to look good, but you never felt like it was anything like of any real, whereas Zhang, you felt like he landed really strong power shots. And I mean, see Joyce's eye and Joyce's face. I mean, Joyce was marked up from round 1. His nose was bleeding, eye completely fucked up. I wonder if it's more than just a closed eye. You wonder if there's any sort of orbital bone fractures going on there. But look, I mean, this changes a lot. This changes a lot because there's been this talk of Joyce in the summer fighting Fury, talk of Joyce in the summer having this rematch, if you like, with Usyk. He's been talking a lot about AJ recently, and all of a sudden now, I mean, it's a big backward step, especially for a 37-year-old. I don't know. And, some people were saying things like it's just a style that Joyce can't handle. And I get that, but it isn't just a style. It isn't, because Joyce gets hit by everyone. And I was watching that thinking, what would Usyk do to him, man? Usyk is a southpaw. And Joyce is very slow. And I do wonder if, because there's been a lot of talk recently about Joyce could beat AJ. And who knows, right? I'm not going to be one of those people that as soon as someone loses, you shoot them down. But there has been that kind of counter argument that Joyce is so slow and AJ has been struggling with fast people. Like Jermaine Frank is actually fast, and Usyk we know, and Ruiz has got fast hands as well. You do wonder if someone like Joyce, where the movement is slow, if AJ can just sit on his punches and be a bit more confident with what he's doing, should be able to fuck him up. Pardon my French. Should be able to fuck him up. But look, I'm happy for Zhang. Again, I'm going to repeat myself. Apologies. I was there ringside for the Hrgovic fight. He won that fight. So all of a sudden, I mean, you beat Hrgovic and you beat Joe Joyce. Do you know how solid that is? Let's take a step back and think about how solid that is. If any of the other top guys had that as their wins back to back, I mean, you're looking at them thinking, man, they're good. They're very good. Zhang is number 5 for me right now in heavyweight boxing. Don't care. Argue with you. If you don't put him at number 5, argue with yourself. Because there was some talk about Joyce being number 3. I didn't have Joyce that high. I had Joyce below the top 4 guys as number 5. But you've just beaten the number 5 guy. And I get it. It doesn't work as you beat number 5, so you go to number 5. It doesn't. But for me, as I've said, he has wins over Hrgovic and Joe Joyce. That puts him number 5. He's number 5. He's above Ruiz. He's above Frank Sanchez. He's above Hrgovic. He's above them all. He's number 5. And again, because he's a southpaw, he might be a bit of a problem to the other. I think Fury would beat him, and I think Usyk would beat him, although Usyk is giving up a lot of size. But as a southpaw, he's going to be a bit of a problem for Wilder and AJ. They don't like that southpaw shit. AJ's spoken about it already, about southpaws. Don't like it. But yeah, look, there's a rematch clause in it. If I'm Joyce, I swerve that. It's okay. Swerve it. Fight someone else, and then we'll see what happens. For Zhang, call it one of the big boys. Call it one of the big boys to come and fight you in China. I don't know what the big stadium is in China, but I mean, look, I'm hearing that nearly 100 million Chinese watched that fight last night. If that's true, that's staggering. Let's have a big fight in China. Let's spread this sport. It's not just about America, UK, and the Middle East. We've seen big events recently in Australia with George Kambosos, Devin Haney. Let's spread it. Let's go to China. Let's do it. Let's have a big fight in there. Imagine AJ versus Zhang in China. Fucking hell, how big would that be? It'd be massive. Fury. One of those. Wilder. And how loud and boisterous he is. So, look, I'm happy for Zhang. I am disappointed for Joe Joyce. As a Brit, I'm disappointed that he didn't win. But you can't overlook a fighter. I do feel like, and maybe it's not his fault because it's the questions he's being asked, but I felt like a lot of the build-up in the last couple of weeks has been about Fury in the summer. AJ's ducking me. I want the rematch of Usyk. I'd fight Wilder. Just talk about Zhang, dude. Talk about who's in front of you. And Big Bang Zhang showed that, boy, at 39 or going to be 40, there is still quite a bit left. And that's because he doesn't rush his work. Like, he's very, you watch him, very smart. And look, he says he lives the life. He's a healthy guy. He takes this seriously. So, I mean, I don't know, we're stretching. As a heavyweight, you can go on a bit longer, can't you? You can go on, and it's not like he's taken a huge amount of punishment. He just needs to work on his gas tank, and it looks like he's working on that a little bit. All right, let's go through the news. Gervonta Davis, I'm already a legend. I know what he means. Well, I hope I know what he means. He's clearly not a legend by what he's done in the ring, but when you think of where this guy has come from, understand this guy, and I don't mean this to be rude when I say it, but you know, I've read about his backstory, I've seen some videos about his backstory. This guy has come from the gutter, like literally, like a place that I couldn't even envisage. Like, I was homeless for a while. I was kicked out early by my mum. I was homeless for a while, and I remember where I stayed was like just violent people, like doors getting kicked down, guns, people getting robbed. It was violent. Where he's from is 100 times worse. So I can't even picture where he's from. So for him to get to where he's got to, coming from that, because I almost applaud myself for coming from where I've come from. So for him to get to where he's got to, I think that's what he means. So for me, yeah, he is a legend. Roy Jones prefers Eubank to take Smith rematch over Ben fight. If you lose, you got to get that back first. Yeah, it looks like that's going to happen, by the way. All of a sudden, the Eubank Ben thing's going to be a little bit quiet. And by the way, it's a bit too late for Eubank, but the Roy Jones link-up's not working either. That's not working. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Joe Joyce reveals he may take interim fight. I just said it before Zhilei Zhang rematch. There won't be a Zhilei Zhang rematch. He ain't going to fight Zhilei Zhang again. He can't fight southpaws. And yeah, I feel like they'll be silly to do it. Like, it's not like AJ had to do it against Usyk because Usyk took his belt. Unless you want the interim title, there's no point. Don't run it back. Forget it. Move on. Everyone goes somewhere else. That's what I think anyway. Bit here from Joe Joyce saying, I'm disappointed with my performance. I couldn't get away from the left hand. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, no, yeah, you couldn't. And I don't know if you tried to. That's my issue with it. I don't know if you tried to get away from the left hand. I don't know if there was a plan B for, okay, this motherfucker's catching me. What do we do? Do we fight in close? Do we try and maybe force him to it? I'm not a trainer. We'll see. All right. Anything else there? Jamel Herring sliding with Shakur Stevenson in possible Devin Haney showdown. There's been a lot about this fight of recent. Shakur did an interview the other day with, I think it wasn't the Breakfast Club, it was the Zone Boxing Show, saying he would beat Devin Haney. Devin Haney did an interview, did an interview with the Zone Boxing Show and said I would beat all of them. It's a big fight, isn't it? It's a big. What I hope don't happen in this fight is a bit like the Spence Crawford fight, whereby it can't happen or it won't happen. Might happen actually, but right now it hasn't happened because of money. Because two guys want so much to get in the ring because it's a big fight, right? Especially Spence Crawford. I have a feeling this could be that. Like Shakur Stevenson versus Devin Haney for me is such a big fight, but I don't think it's a fight that does the numbers yet. I just don't. I don't think both of them are crossover stars yet to want the money. Look, what I mean by the big numbers, I mean, look, pay-per-view struggling anyway right now. Pay-per-view struggling. The numbers just ain't there for a lot of fights that should be getting numbers. Just not there. People are streaming them. The interest isn't there. Shakur Stevenson versus Devin Haney is a fight where both of them are going to want upwards of $5 million, maybe even a bit more, because of, again, it's such a big fight. For that kind of pay, you have to do the pay-per-view numbers, and I don't think it does the pay-per-view numbers. This is the problem. I think Paulie Malignaggi said it recently. He's got like this channel with Chris Algieri, Claudia Trejos are on it as well. I think he was talking about sort of just the money, what fighters want for what fighters bring in is kind of unrealistic nowadays. Just doesn't work. Doesn't work at all. It really doesn't work. And I think we've seen this. Again, you look at the numbers, you look at the zone, even like starting off with no pay-per-view, then realizing shit, we kind of need to go to pay-per-view because just what we hope the numbers would be ain't. So it's a weird space for boxing right now. But yeah, look, I hope the fight happens, but I feel like we're going to have a money problem. Like De La Hoya, this is the moment for Ryan Garcia to do something special. This time next week, we'll find out. This time next week, your boy's going to be in Vegas. Man, I'm really looking forward to that. Really, really looking forward to what Vegas has to offer for this. Like, I was there, lucky enough to be there for Canelo's last two fights. Lucky to be there for that. I feel like this one might have an extra something. Just because I think the two fan bases are very different. I think it's going to be explosive in and out of the ring. All right, anything else before we shoot? Can't see anything of interest. All right, we are done. Yeah, that's it. All right, cool. Ladies and gentlemen, peace.